Russia's highly publicized plan to deliver Su-35 fighter jets to Iran appears to be either indefinitely postponed or effectively cancelled, despite early optimism and multiple public statements from Iranian officials in late 2022 and throughout 2023. While there was once talk of a finalized deal involving the transfer of as many as 24 Su-35s, advanced multi-role combat aircraft originally built for Egypt but left undelivered due to Cairo's concerns over U.S. sanctions, there has been no evidence of any Su-35s actually arriving in Iranian hands. In reality, the only confirmed Russian aircraft deliveries to Iran have been a small number of Yak-130 trainer jets, which are intended for pilot instruction and not suitable for combat operations. Iranian officials initially framed the Su-35 acquisition as a turning point in their efforts to modernize their air force. Iran's current air fleet largely consists of aging US and Soviet aircraft from the 1970s and 1980s, many of which are barely airworthy. With international sanctions long restricting its access to Western arms markets, and domestic production capabilities still limited in scope, a purchase from Russia appeared to be the most viable path toward modernization. The Su-35, with its advanced radar, high maneuverability, and beyond visual range missile capabilities, was seen as a major upgrade that could alter the balance of regional air power. Yet, over the past year, the situation has changed significantly. First, there has been a noticeable shift in the tone of official Iranian statements. Whereas earlier messaging was enthusiastic and confident about receiving the fighters, more recent comments have emphasized domestic military production and the need for self-reliance in defense. Iran's defense minister, for example, publicly downplayed the Su-35 deal in mid-2024, stating that Iran was no longer dependent on external partners to develop air superiority capabilities. Though not a direct cancellation, this was interpreted by many analysts as a sign that the government had lost faith in Russia's willingness or ability to follow through. From Russia's side, the lack of action suggests a deliberate choice not to deliver the aircraft. Russia is currently under immense strain due to its prolonged military operations in Ukraine. Its defense industry, particularly aircraft production, is focused on sustaining and rebuilding the Russian Air Force, which has suffered considerable losses. The Su-35 is a complex and expensive aircraft to manufacture, requiring a high level of industrial capacity, trained personnel, and long-term support infrastructure. Diverting even a portion of these resources to fulfill an export order, especially one with potential geopolitical costs, may not be justifiable for Moscow at this time. Additionally, Russia has to consider the broader geopolitical implications of such a transfer. Selling Su-35s to Iran could provoke significant international backlash. It might deepen tensions with countries in the region that maintain a delicate relationship with Moscow, including Gulf states and Israel. It could also invite new rounds of sanctions from the United States and European Union, further isolating the Russian economy and defense sector. Given these risks, it is entirely plausible that Russia has decided the political cost of arming Iran with advanced fighter jets outweighs the financial or strategic benefits. Another critical issue is that Russia has not provided the support systems necessary to make such a transfer meaningful. For a modern fighter jet like the Su-35 to be operationally effective, it must be delivered with associated components, such as spare parts, munitions, technical manuals, ground support equipment, pilot training programs, and simulators. As of mid-2025, there is no public evidence that any of these systems have been transferred. Without them, even a symbolic delivery of the aircraft would leave them largely grounded and inoperable. Iran, facing the reality that these jets are not arriving anytime soon, has increasingly turned toward its domestic aerospace and defense industries to fill the gap. This includes efforts to enhance or replicate older Soviet aircraft designs, as well as publicized progress on new generation aircraft programs, though these remain far from reaching the operational level of a true fourth-generation jet like the Su-35. Iran has also placed a growing emphasis on asymmetrical capabilities, such as drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missile systems, to compensate for its lagging air power. The collapse or indefinite delay of the Su-35 deal is not just a technical or logistical issue, it is a strategic setback for Iran's broader defense ambitions. The Air Force remains the weakest branch of Iran's military, lacking the tools to challenge modern regional air forces or establish control over contested airspace. The failure to acquire advanced fighters reinforces Iran's dependence on non-traditional military technologies and tactics, which may be effective in certain scenarios but limit its ability to project power in a conventional sense. Despite years of negotiation and public messaging, there is now a strong consensus among defense analysts that the Russia-Iran Su-35 deal is no longer viable in its originally intended form. No aircraft have been delivered, no support systems have been deployed, and both sides appear to be quietly backing away from the agreement. Russia has economic and strategic reasons for withholding the jets, while Iran is pivoting towards self-sufficiency in air defense and aerospace development. Unless there is a major shift in regional politics or global alignments, it is unlikely that the Su-35s will ever reach Iran.